Ladies and gents, boys and girls, this week is going to be a little bit different. First off, it's going to be a lot shorter. I've realized now that I will never be a Baptist preacher because I just can't hear my voice for more than 30 minutes without going nuts. Maybe I could be a Methodist or something. I don't know. But Darnell's not going to be on this week's episode. He has really, really important stuff to do. Congratulations to all the fam and everything. He has somebody graduating. That's way more important than some stupid little wrestling show. So we're going to talk about Money in the Bank. We're going to talk about Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank. And we're going to talk about, I think I'm going to do things a little bit different this week. I'm going to give you the rundown. I'm going to give you the championship scenes. I'm going to give you the championship pictures. But I honestly, I can't put 100% of the blame on Vince McMahon. Some of this is our fault. Why? Well, grab a snack, put a YouTube video on in the background, and stay tuned for this week's edition of the Playmakers Blog Podcast, Wrestling. All right, ladies and gents, we're going to do things a little bit different this week because Darnell has very, very important things. Congratulations to Darnell's nephew. I think he will definitely correct me when he hears this. But in either case, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Playmakers Blog Podcast, Wrestling Edition. I'm Dallas Glenn, the wrestling guy. And, since it's just me, like I said, we're going to do things a little bit different. I'm not going to slog down the results of Money in the Bank because I'm assuming that if you found our little podcast, you are definitely a hardcore WWE fan. So you know what happened for the most part. You know that Daniel Bryan was in the kickoff show and took the pin. You know that Finn Balor didn't defend the Intercontinental Championship because he was in the Money in the Bank match. You know Rey Mysterio became a Grand Slam champion. You know Charlotte became a 9-time champion. And you know Bayley cashed in her Money in the Bank contract that she won to open the night. And became the SmackDown Women's Champion. We had 3 different SmackDown Women's Champions in one night. But you know all that. So the real thing we need to start off with, because like a Baptist preacher, I'm not going to take up much of your time, is the fact that Brock Lesnar is Mr. Money in the Bank. I think the biggest thing that we need to take away from this is that this is Brock Lesnar's era. From 2016 until now, Brock Lesnar has been the top guy. Now, I know the dirt sheets said that Roman was the one being pushed. I know that Roman being on SmackDown is so they could build him up organically. I know all these things. But when you look at Brock Lesnar's reign of dominance, quote unquote, when you look at who Vince McMahon relies on when he's in a pinch, ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand that throughout the history of WWE, I won't even say pro wrestling, because pro wrestling is markedly different than what WWE does. In the history of WWE, Vince McMahon has relied on very few people in a pinch. He's relied on Hulk Hogan. He's relied on Shawn Michaels. He relied on Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. He relied on Triple H from 2002 to 2005. He relied on John Cena for almost a decade and a half. And now, he's relying on Brock Lesnar. Dallas, what are you talking about? Where is Darnell? You're talking foolishness. Where is he to rein you in? Hold on. Let me explain it to you. Since 2016, when the new era started, Brock Lesnar has not only been in the main event picture, he's won 2 World Heavyweight Championships. We're not even going into since he's been back. We're going to this era, 2016. Because if I were to include Brock Lesnar's accomplishments before 2016, that would be like including Triple H's before 2002. If I include the whole resume, it dilutes the point. From 2016 till now, he's been a 2-time Universal Champion. The most Universal Championship reigns in the history of the belt. I'm going to double check that right now that I think about it. But I'm pretty sure in the short history of the Universal Championship, Brock Lesnar's 2 reigns are the most. He's now Mr. Money in the Bank. Mr. Money in the Bank is somebody who is supposed to be elevated. It's somebody who's supposed to be credible. It's somebody that you're supposed to be making credible. It's somebody where it's like, hey, this person is about to get the belt, and this person is about to go on a rampage. This person is about to cement themselves within this era as a major player. I fell into the Kool-Aid. I fell into the trap of thinking that Brock Lesnar was just a part-timer that Vince McMahon kept using because he was a draw. I fell into that trap. You know, Brock Lesnar doesn't watch the product. Brock Lesnar's never around. Brock Lesnar only works like 10-minute matches. You know, I fell into that whole Kool-Aid, but Brock Lesnar, 2 reigns. Most reigns in the history of the Universal Championship. Those happened 2016 to present, by the way. The Universal Championship was established July 25th, 2016. So this is all literally since 2016 when this era started, folks. 504 days. He holds the record for the longest championship reign. 504 days. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not combined. And you can say, Dallas, shut up. Go on with the TV. You really don't know what you're talking about. No. But don't I? Do I really not know what I'm talking about? Because if you combine the days together, we're talking 504. They carried the 1 because it was vacated after Roman Reigns beat him. 156 days. So we're talking roughly 660 days. 660 days since 2016, Brock Lesnar has been the World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw. 660 days. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see, 365, and I carried 1. There are roughly 730 days in a 2-year period. In a 2-year period, there are roughly 730 days. Brock Lesnar has been a World Heavyweight Champion for 660 of them. It's 2019, so of course that period gets bigger. But for a significant amount of time, he's been the top champion on Raw. Now he's Mr. Money in the Bank. And Seth Rollins had to be in a tag team match with the WWE Champion to get into the main event. It's Seth Rollins' show, but Roman Reigns is a wild card every week. It's Seth Rollins' show, but Kofi Kingston is on his show every other week. And when Kofi Kingston's on the show, the Universal Championship's in the main event. When Kofi Kingston's not on the show, Seth Rollins can't get an in-ring segment. So what happens at Money in the Bank? Brock Lesnar is hidden backstage. Fans say that everything is too predictable. Fans say that, oh, blah, 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 but they were excited. They thought that Vince McMahon was going to screw the pooch and maybe give Bram the briefcase. I did too. That's what I predicted. But there were Drew, Ali, and Andrade as legitimate contenders. And then, let's be honest, it's kind of nostalgic. It kind of defeats the purpose. But I don't think anybody would have necessarily been upset at Randy Orton. I mean, we're trying to figure out who's going to be the heel to pin Kofi Kingston. Because the heel that pins Kofi Kingston is about to have a rocket strapped to their ass. But Brock Lesnar got the briefcase. It's almost pretty much established that this is his era. This week on Raw, Brock Lesnar teased a lot. Him and Paul Heyman opened up the show, coming out with the briefcase. Then Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston came out, and they did their champion promos, and they basically wanted Brock Lesnar to pick one of them when he cashed in cashed in the briefcase. Already, I can see that, wait a minute, the world champions are coming out to Mr. Money in the Bank and trying to challenge Mr. Money in the Bank. When Mr. Money in the Bank is supposed to have the briefcase so that he can have a handicap in his favor and catch the champion slipping. So already it's like this might be completely different, because even when John Cena had Money in the Bank, nobody just outright tried to get the jump on him. John Cena was the first man to lose the Money in the Bank cash-in. And he was John frickin' Cena in the middle of the PG era. John Cena in the middle of the PG era had the briefcase, and nobody came up to him. He made everybody moan and groan because he went up to CM Punk and told CM Punk when he was going to cash in, and everybody just lamented. But Brock Lesnar, in the middle of Brock Lesnar's era, has two world champions coming to him and trying to get a head start on him. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. You know, at the end of the show, and again, it's going to be a little bit different because Thornell's not here to rein me in. At the end of the show, after the tag team match with Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley, they came out and they teased the cash-in. The champions had their belts and they were ready to hold the ring. And then Brock Lesnar, he thought about it. He thought about it and decided not to cash in. So, officially, we're supposed to be waiting until next week's Raw. Next week's Raw to see who Brock Lesnar is going to cash in. Who's he going to do it against? Now, everybody, please remember, before Vince McMahon tries to gyp us, before Vince McMahon really tries to get us to think that the next Saudi Arabia show is really on par or better than WrestleMania, that in itself is asinine and ludicrous, but okay. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins has already been announced. In fact, at one point, if I remember correctly, they announced a triple threat between AJ, Brock, and Seth. So there's been two different matches announced that involve Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship at the Super Showdown show. I sincerely hope that after the heat that Brock Lesnar has, he's the talk of the industry. I had independent wrestlers on my Facebook talking about Brock Lesnar. I had promoters talking about Brock Lesnar. I had the grizzled old veterans talking about Brock Lesnar. I had the fans talking about Brock Lesnar. All the Facebook groups were talking about Brock Lesnar. Everybody was talking about Brock Lesnar. Nobody was talking about Best of Super Juniors. Nobody was talking about CMLL's free weekly TV that you could catch on their official YouTube channel. Nobody was talking about the Briscoes trying to stake their claim in the NWA. Nobody was talking about anything but Brock Lesnar climbing the ladder. Please don't have Brock Lesnar come out next week and announce that he's going to cash it in at this Super Showdown show. Please. Vince, I'm begging you. Why? You've already announced this match. You announced the match and it helped keep it secret that Brock Lesnar was going to be in the Money in the Bank match. You've already built this up perfectly. Brock Lesnar is your draw. Ratings went up this week. When Paul Heyman came out with the briefcase the next night on SmackDown, people thought that Kofi Kingston was in danger. Now, it turns out he was in danger, but it wasn't because of Brock Lesnar. You see, Brock Lesnar has this overarching effect right now. It's an overreaching effect. Now that he has the briefcase, Fox should be happy. Now that he has the briefcase, USA should be happy. Now that he has the briefcase, you and I should be happy. Think of it like this. Staying in the world title scene. Dolph Ziggler brutally attacked Kofi Kingston. Ran roughshod on Kofi Kingston. And every single moment of that attack, I was wondering when Brock Lesnar's music was going to hit. Guys, Brock Lesnar doesn't show up to minor pay-per-views. Yet somehow, some way, and I know I'm not the only one. Don't make it seem like I'm the only one that got worked. Brock Lesnar doesn't show up to minor pay-per-views while he's the World Heavyweight Champion. But I honestly believed Brock Lesnar's music was going to hit on SmackDown when he had just worked 2 straight nights. He worked the pay-per-view, he worked Raw. And I honestly thought I was going to hear his music on SmackDown. It didn't even dawn on me that Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler were going to start a feud. I honestly thought Brock Lesnar was going to show up on SmackDown, and Fox probably did too. When Vince is desperate, he does some interesting things. When Vince is desperate, he puts all the cards on the table. I personally think we may have a good hand. Yeah, Vince is going to get his chips back, but I say we call. Because I can't remember the last time I legitimately thought Brock Lesnar was going to show up on a SmackDown. So, I figure that's enough. I wish that, it was like ESPN Radio where we had like a calling line or whatever we could do the break. But, Playmakers Blog Podcast Wrestling Edition, Dallas Glenn, Darnell, the Playmaker Solins, is not here. He has more important family things to attend to. Congratulations on his family member's graduation. I said nephew earlier. I really honestly don't know which one it is. I think it's his nephew. Talking about the active world champions right now. We've talked about who's going to challenge one of them enough. Talking about the active world champions. And you know what? I'll just throw Bayley and Becky in here too. In fact, I'll start with Bayley and Becky. Bayley pinned Charlotte twice this week. Pinned her to win Money in the Bank. Pinned her to win the Women's Championship after cashing in Money in the Bank. And she pinned her in a tag team match on SmackDown this week. Bayley has been made legit in the span of 3 weeks? No, longer than that. Because we have to remember, Charlotte, one of the horsewomen, Sasha was playing the injured tag team partner on their way to the tag team championships. This build to making Bayley equal to or better than Sasha Banks has been going on for quite some time. Now, I feel like it just culminated. She wins the briefcase to open up the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. She comes out during the heartbreak of Becky Lynch being screwed out of the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte tries to get greedy. She already beat down Becky, but she tries to get greedy and beat down Bayley too. But oh, the wily babyface. The wily babyface outsmarts her. Charlotte is unconscious in the middle of the ring. Bayley cashes in and hits the Randy Savage elbow drop to win the Women's Championship. Then on SmackDown, can't remember the finish, but she gets the pin on Charlotte in a tag team match. And voila! We got somebody who won the briefcase, won the championship in the same night, then pinned the person who they beat for the championship. Bayley's a top player now. Becky Lynch, yeah, she's not Becky Two Belts anymore, but she's only carrying the Raw Women's division now. Alexa Bliss, there's something wrong. She's not medically cleared. If you notice, she never tagged in for that one match that they did, that 6-man tag that they did. Lacey Evans, yeah, she's been built up. She's a legitimate contender. But what about Dana? What are we going to do with Nikki Cross? Where's Alicia Fox? She's supposed to be on Raw. Sir, she's in trouble for something right now, but you got Naomi. And then, I honestly don't know at what point is it really finally going to start clicking what you have in Natalia? Out of all those names, I mean, Becky is the most over one by far. But as far as someone who can legitimately beat Becky on the run that she's on right now, and now you can focus on not overexposing her, and she only has one championship, instead of having to like wrestle twice in the pay-per-view and, you know, twice in a week and all that. Because I mean, you know, I think it's good. So, you know, with that, the Raw Women's Division, the SmackDown Women's Division, you have Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio. You have Finn Balor and Andrade. And I don't really see what the problem is. I think that those are two really good feuds that have a chance to steal the show. And for the people who might want to say, oh, Finn and Andrade should be Money in the Bank, they should have a chance, blah, blah. Well, you know, think about it. The Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship are still prestigious belts. Don't let Vince McMahon's way of booking trick you into thinking that Andrade and Finn Balor and Samoa Joe aren't in really, really good spots to be in. Do you realize the gold that Vince McMahon will see if he can find people to make those belts feel like what they actually are? Pat Patterson, Harley Race, Tito Santana, Ric Flair, Sting, Goldberg, Triple H, Chris Jericho, John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with this? If we're talking about who's held the belt, the greatest of the greats have held both belts. If we're talking about where the belt should be on the card, then it's like, well, we just had the Women's Championships main event at WrestleMania. So would you have rather Finn Balor opened up the show and defended his championship? Or would you have said, oh, that's bull, Finn Balor deserves better than that, he's a world champion? You gotta pick your spots, man. It's not overexposure or anything, it's just you gotta pick your spots. Finn Balor is a two-time Intercontinental Champion. Finn Balor was just in the Money in the Bank match while being Intercontinental Champion. When Finn Balor was leader of Bullet Club, he was IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Finn Balor has made a career of helping major promotions get their mid-card belts over to a major level. Andrade, he was IWGP Intercontinental Champion. He beat Shinsuke Nakamura for it in Mexico in a 2 out of 3 falls match, at a time where the IWGP Intercontinental Championship was equal to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Samoa Joe, what more needs to be said? Rey Mysterio, what more needs to be said? Rey Mysterio just had a hell of a run in Mexico, Japan, and Lucha Underground. I think he had his first ever battle to Super Juniors right before he signed with WWE. So, I don't understand having these prominent guys fight for the mid-card titles. I don't see what's wrong with that. Because eventually, Rey Mysterio or Samoa Joe is going to get the better of the feud and move on, and they're going to have the Ricochets of the world waiting in the rings. You think that Ricochet is on TV every single week? Okay, he just lost a match to Cesaro. Okay, he lost a match to Robert Roode a couple weeks back. Ricochet is on TV every week. And the good thing about WWE, in comparison to what AEW will be, is that 50-50 booking in a world where the results are predetermined. Ricochet is going to go on a tear. And he's going to go on a tear right to that United States Championship. It doesn't matter the matches he loses right now, because Cesaro has to beat somebody credible. Robert Roode has to beat somebody credible. Ricochet was built up just enough to be a credible win now. So, the mid-card right now is in good hands. The women's division is in good hands. I feel like the WWE Championship is in good hands. And for the most part, you have Seth Rollins, who a lot of you guys want to be champion. And then you have the traditional guys, the Ruthless Aggression era guys, it's not believable guys. Whatever you want to say, Brock Lesnar's Mr. Money in the Bank. So Brock Lesnar's appeasing to one audience, Kofi Kingston's appeasing to an audience, the women's division, Bayley and Becky Lynch, they're appealing to an audience. Then you have the hardcore indie audience being addressed with the United States and Intercontinental Championship feuds. Dare I say that WWE's ratings, dare I say that USA and Fox being down their neck isn't completely their fault? Now, the majority of it is WWE's fault. We're not going to dispute that. It is their fault to the upteenth degree. But I'm not going to say 100%. Like I've been saying before, this era is not the era to be focused on the World Heavyweight Championship divisions. First of all, this division is a women's wrestling era. I mean, this era is for the women's wrestling division. This is an era for women's wrestling. That is the first thing. But then you also have to look to your mid-card titles. Daniel Bryan is SmackDown Tag Team Champion right now. Rowan just won his second SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos look well on their way to winning the Raw Tag Team Championship. Once they get done with the revival, I mean, the Raw Tag Team Champions haven't even been on TV. They haven't even been on TV. It looks like the Usos are about to get that done too. And at that point, what's it going to be? 7? I think we're complaining too much. I know there's things to complain. It's valid to be critical. It's valid to be critical and have legitimate criticisms. But at some point, criticism goes into complaining. Guys, we just got another thing that we said we wanted. It's a PG product created by a publicly traded company. So they're not going to outright call it the Hardcore Championship. But the 24/7 Championship is essentially the exact same thing. Falls Count Anywhere matches. 24/7. Anytime, anywhere. Guys, a Falls Count Anywhere match is basically just another name for a hardcore match. Falls Count Anywhere, anything goes. You can hit somebody with a car. You can throw a box at somebody. You can throw a chair at somebody. You can put a trash can over somebody. You can use a table to pin somebody down. It's a comedy wrestling championship. The hardcore title was a comedy wrestling championship. Yes, there are some great matches that happen for the hardcore title. Bradshaw, Hurricane is something I remember. Jeff Hardy, RVD is something I remember. But come on, man. There's going to be legitimate matches for the 24/7 championship. There's going to be actual you will defend your title matches for the 24/7 championship. There's going to be brawls. There's going to be free-for-alls for the 24/7 championship. But guys, come on. On one hand, you say so-and-so isn't on TV. This is a travesty. So-and-so deserves better. # push so-and-so. And they create a championship that's literally for everybody. Titus O'Neil was the first ever champion. Titus O'Neil was the inaugural champion. Then Robert Roode was the second champion. Now R-Truth is the longest reigning champion by a decade. By a mile. Guys, what are we so mad for? I'm on WWE.com right now. R-Truth, time held, 2 days. He holds the record by a lot. By a lot. I think that with Brock Lesnar, we need to understand, and we need to just, not give up. Not get used to it, but I think we need to just sit back and realize, what have we expected from our top guys? What have we expected the top guy of the company to be? What was Triple H? What was John Cena? What was Stone Cold Steve Austin? What was Hulk Hogan? What were they? What was AJ Styles when he was in TNA? What was Rey Mysterio whenever he was in Mexico? What was Conan when he was in CMLL? What has Kazuchika Okada been? What has Hiroshi Tanahashi been? What was Kenta and Noah before he came to WWE? What was Finn Balor in NXT before he got called up to the main roster? What is the top guy? And is the top guy somebody who is just going to let everybody have a turn? Now, Brock Lesnar isn't going to politic. Brock Lesnar doesn't want the 24/7 championship. Brock Lesnar isn't here to elevate anybody. But, I mean, I'd put Brock Lesnar up against Okada. I'd put Brock Lesnar up against Rush. I'd put Brock Lesnar up against El Tejano Jr. I'd put Brock Lesnar up against Moose, Johnny Impact, Matt Taven, Jay Lethal. You name him, I put him up against him. And to be honest, when it comes to a top guy, that's how you're supposed to feel about your promotion's top guy. WWE is our promotion. This is the one that's like, we're team WWE. Because let's be honest, we may watch other promotions, but we're listening to and making a podcast about World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated. At the same time, okay, you don't like Brock Lesnar. You don't like what he's doing. Okay, you have the WWE Championship, the Raw Tag Team Championship, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, the SmackDown Women's Championship, the 24/7 Championship, the Cruiserweight Championship, the NXT Championship, the NXT North American Championship, the NXT Tag Team Championship, the NXT Women's Championship, the NXT UK Championship, the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, and the NXT UK Women's Championship. That is one belt out of like 16. Guys, I'm not going to sit here and ramble for an hour. I don't like the sound of my own voice that much. But I will say this. I'm not saying that we're headed completely in the right direction. I'm not even saying that Vince McMahon isn't desperation booking right now. All I'm saying is we really need to sit back and look. Because right now, Vince McMahon is going to do whatever he needs to do to make Fox and USA happy. Because that's where the money's coming from. I scrolled too far. I lost it. There's the most recent quarterly filing. Basically what I could surmise is, dude, the media numbers are the highest numbers by far. There are sharp decreases in live event revenue from 2019 to 2018 from the March 31st quarter. The quarter that ended March 31st. From that time period in 2019 is a sharp decrease from the time period in 2018. I know I'm saying that wrong, but the point is, live events and consumer products are already super down from their media revenue. This is basically a media company. This is a media company, and media is where they're making their money. We're talking $4 million decreases in live event revenue and $3 million decreases in consumer products, whereas they went up in media revenue. So the network, the advertising, the SmackDown sale, all that stuff, WWE is a TV media company. They make media. They make content for us to consume. And they're going to do whatever they need to do to keep those media dollars rolling in. Because as much as you would like to think, as much as we would like to hope, guys, ain't enough house shows in the world to make WWE honestly think, oh wow, they're not coming to the shows anymore. Guess we need to please the fans that buy tickets instead of the executives that just paid us $2 billion. If you're going to keep watching, you need to find the positives that are going to keep you around. Going on Twitter and complaining every week, and I'm talking to myself with this, going on Twitter and complaining every week isn't going to help us out. The 24/7 championship is basically the PG Hardcore Championship that we've all been screaming for like almost 10 years. Mick Foley debuted the belt himself. Some things we're just not gonna get. But the 24/7 championship is honestly the most genuine attempt I have seen in this era to basically say, guys, we're a PG company. But here, USA even wanted it. USA even wanted it, so we're just going to give it to you, but we can't call it the Hardcore Championship. And for everybody who's saying that the belt is ugly, the Hardcore Championship was literally a WWE Championship that got smashed up with a hammer and somebody put duct tape on it and just wrote Hardcore on the duct tape. If you're talking ugliest championship belts ever, how was the Hardcore title even not falling off? What kind of super glue did they use? 30-something minutes is enough. 30-something minutes is enough. I'm not going to talk your ear off. All I'm saying is, Brock Lesnar's Money in the Bank for a reason. And as fans, we need to really think about what that reason is. Why is Vince McMahon so desperate when a member of The Shield is the Raw champion and the belt is on TV every week? Why is Vince McMahon so desperate when the babyface that we wanted, the guy who helped WWE fix the mistake of Booker T at WrestleMania 19, why do we have two world champions that we want, but Vince McMahon is still desperate? It's because we're complaining too much. We're complaining too much. And what makes it even worse is we're complaining while hashtagging what we're complaining about, and they're using that as social media metrics. We're helping them while wanting them to change the problem. But at the same time, I'm done with the network. I'm canceling the network. I'm done watching WWE. Well, I guess some of those people are true. I guess some of those people are right, because WWE's third hour of Raw is still struggling. We're talking 2.0, 2.1 rating struggling. And again, and this will be it, I promise, Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank, that can't just... I refuse to believe that this is 100% Vince McMahon. Because Kofi Kingston's push happened because we made it happen. We made it happen. And don't act like we didn't want John Cena. Don't act like we did not want John Cena in the Word Life era, when he was on the cover of Day of Reckoning and all that good stuff and everything, when he was the rapper. Don't act like we did not want John Cena. Dude, I think we need to start taking responsibility for some things, because all this whole so-and-so's going to AEW, I can't wait till so-and-so goes to AEW, AEW this, AEW that, but we're complaining that AEW is going to charge $50 for the pay-per-view. Do you see how much money they've spent? We'll see how this goes. Double or Nothing this Saturday. Fight TV, local cable and pay-per-view providers, all that good stuff. But until next week, good luck to AEW. Good luck to Brock Lesnar. Prayers out to Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins, because they're going to need it. And as always, fuck the Tennessee Titans.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.